From the WSAV Digital Studio, this is All Things Savannah. I'm Frank Morrow.
And I'm Danielle Oak. And today we have Ginger Graham Varner on our show on All Things Savannah. She is a marketing and tourism expert. She's a creative. She's a designer, and she's a contestant on one of America's most premier TV game shows.
Ginger Graham Varner, our guest today. Stay right there. It's coming next. We are here today with Ginger Graham Varner, and Danielle and I met Ginger Graham Varner at the Andrew Low House Museum, where we both work.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Ginger is a marketing and sales executive, and she is the person who we count on in bringing people in the door.
That's correct.
That's not an easy job these days. Welcome to All Things Savannah.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So we've introduced you a certain way because that is your current job.
That's
but
correct.
That is the smallest fraction of the things that you have done in your life. We could be here for 3 hours easily talking about all the cool things you've done. So where do we start off?
Well, let's talk about your roots. Now, I thought originally, knowing you, that you were sort of born in Savannah, and I thought this is kind of where you have been a good portion of your life, but I understood looking back that you were born in South Carolina.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes,
Orangeburg?
Yes. Orangeburg, South Carolina.
So
yes.
let's talk about early life, family life, and how you ended up coming to Savannah.
Oh, gosh. Great childhood. Just grew up in Orangeburg, vacationed at Edisto Beach for many, many, many years. That's my greatest childhood memory. We then, from Orangeburg, we moved to Edisto, matter of fact. That's about 2 hours away from Savannah, just south of Charleston, and lived there for a couple of years. And then we decided to move to Savannah. My parents decided to move to Savannah.
How old were you? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was a freshman in high school.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Good
So I was a
timing
freshman.
on their
Yeah,
part,
I know,
actually,
right?
because
So-
you don't want to move in the middle of high school.
Right. So it was the middle of my freshman year. So, but I moved here my second half of my freshman year, and we've been here ever since. And tourism is what brought us here. So, which is kind of ironic that here I am now doing what I do. So, but yeah.
All right.
Speaking of tourism,
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about that. But before we do, I'm thinking trains. I think there's something you need to fill us in on with trains. But what is the connection with the Georgia Railroad and your family?
Well, this is one of those moments that's like full circle. So, before we decided to move to Savannah because of tourism, my grandfather was the president of the Central Georgia Railroad short lines. So my mother remembers coming here on the Nancy Hanks and numerous other trains that were her father's to Savannah to vacation or just be with her daddy when he was working. But the Baldwin engine at this present moment that's at the Savannah Visitor Center is my grandfather's train. He was part of his fleet.
cool.
So very proud of him. There's an image that we'll show of my grandfather who was in front of the DeSoto Hilton, the original DeSoto Hilton, with all the
cool.
executives of the Central Georgia Railroad. So, and then a letter stating his promotion to become one of the executives of the Central Georgia Railroad. So, very proud of my roots and my heritage when it comes
Absolutely.
to Savannah.
And how long did he work for the railroad?
Gosh, he was a young teenager, ticket salesman, and then worked his way up. And then, unfortunately, he passed away when my mother was 13. He was still working for the railroad at the time. But yeah. So, and then my mother and my grandmother kept his heritage alive, his history alive, and then shared it with the children. So that's where I am right now.
Great.
And so we all have these special pieces of photographs and history of our granddaddy that we're very proud of. So
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to sort of like that visitor center is so important in Savannah on MLK, which is now sort of a hub for coach buses and people coming
Yes.
into town. But of course, that was right the railroad.
That
one of
was the railroad.
Was it the depot?
It was the depot. Yes, it was the depot. So.
And you have some background on sort of the evolution of that building from
Correct.
the railroad days forward.
So it was in disrepair, and then back in the early 80s, and this is what brought us to Savannah and in the tourism industry of my parents, was they opened up what was called the Great Savannah Exposition. And they used artisans from Disney, artisans who did the animatronic puppets and all that stuff. It was pretty amazing. But what brought Mom and Dad was my mom became the curator of the museum itself, hence the train, and there were images of my grandfather in the museum. And then my dad helped build the Siege of Savannah, which was this diorama theatrical showing of the battle of the
And
siege.
is that still in the museum right now?
It is, but it's behind closed doors. They don't operate anymore. I think the funding was so expensive to keep up that they kind of did away with that. So now it's just strictly the museum.
So when was that museum opened?
Early 80s. So we
Right.
moved here in 85. So it had to have been like 86, 87 that it opened.
Now, there's an
Yeah.
interesting backstory about this that I want to get this out because I don't know how many people know this, but it was a surprise to me. But you've been here far longer. About those animatronics and what they were specifically, and where they were, and where they are now. So let's walk
There's
through a
some
little bit of
lore
that part.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to just. I think this is kind of a hidden treasure in some
It is a
ways.
hidden treasure, and where it is now, I do not know. I'm assuming it's still at the museum itself, but it used to walk up into what was a theater back behind where the museum is now, behind the engine. You could walk up these steps and go into the theater, and you sat in a theater, and Oglethorpe came alive, Tomochichi came alive,
remarkable.
Sherman came alive, a soldier became alive. I mean, it was pretty.
That was cool stuff for
fascinating.
that period of
Yeah,
time.
it is.
Yeah.
It was
Because that
very,
was
very forward thinking.
Very much.
Because
very,
Disney
for
really,
Savannah,
became known
too.
for that.
Yes.
Anybody
Yeah.
who's seen the Hall of Presidents? knows
Yes,
that,
exactly.
right?
That's
Right?
exactly what they
Yeah,
were. So,
yeah.
and they just did one of Disney himself, of Walt himself, for
did
the
they?
anniversary. Yeah. So, but yeah. So it's pretty cool.
He said
Pretty
he was
cool.
going to live forever.
I know, right? So yeah. So it's kind of I know there's a lot of upkeep and monies that has to go into keeping those things going. So, but
Right.
at the time it was pretty impressive. So yeah, it was kind of that touchy feely. You're really experiencing the history of Savannah in a way. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
When we talk about tourism, that is an ever-changing landscape. We know that. Numbers go up and down, and pitches change periodically.
Trends too.
Yes.
I mean, ways of interpreting things
Right.
change.
And COVID changed that a lot too.
Yeah. So let's talk that too. Let's talk about that from your earlier days to what we now see, because we've seen good and bad, really, to just make that point. Tell us what your perspective
I think
is.
Savannah's pretty resilient because what we have in place is nothing that we created. It's part of history. It's here. It's never going to go away. So we're fortunate that after COVID the state of Georgia opened up early, so we were able to kind of open up and let people come in and visit. So we did see an influx before a lot of other people, a lot of other states and cities. Of visitors after that happened, which was something we were grateful for. But yeah, I meant, my past life was trolley tours. That and we used to call it trolley wars. So
Tell us more.
very territorial. So,
Tell
but
us more.
and that landscape has changed now too, because
yeah.
Savannah's no longer here. Old Tours was no longer here, and now it's really strictly Old Town Trolleys, which is great and wonderful. So, but yeah, I mean, and it's a nice way for guests to see the city as an overview before they decide to go and jump off and go see the places that they want to kind of delve into a little further. So.
So just help me understand, too, the effect that Hollywood had on tourism here in Savannah, specifically Forrest Gump and Midnight, those two books,
my
movies. When were those, was that
We're talking
the
80s and 90s, right?
Yeah,
For
so that was
probably
before,
both, I
because
guess.
before that time I was in retail, so before I was in
Okay.
tourism then.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I was kind of part of the movies. My dad was part of Forrest Gump, the movie. I was on the movie set.
Were you?
Yeah, so that was my movie bug that I
love
got bitten with. So because I loved it so much, I sat on set and watched them film in Bluffton, which was my dad was part of the Antique Car Association, so he had a Studebaker that was part of the backdrop or
Right.
Nice.
behind the scenes.
Oh,
so,
that's fabulous.
But that was very cool. And then I've been a part of, when I was at the Telfair, I was part of the Disney filming of Lady and the Tramp. And then I worked with Barry Jenkins over at the Academy when he filmed the Underground Railroad movie, and then I was in a couple of movies themselves. So it was kind of fun.
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Now you sit sort of in a place where you go to meetings that deal with sort of the
Yes.
macro tourism thing. I think you're meeting right with other organizations in town, such as Visit Savannah.
Yeah,
and
we
others.
sit with Visit Savannah and a lot of our partners in the tourism industry and hotel industry, and we kind of sit around and see the big picture of what's going on, because it's easy to kind of be kind of closed into what you're only concentrating on, but to see the big picture and know what's going on around us.
So now that you've led us down the garden path, what is the big picture? Tell us what that looks like from the perspective of the people
I mean,
you're in the
we
room
were
with.
trending down, but I think we're kind of trending back up a little bit.
Okay.
So we'd love to see more movies being filmed in the city,
Right.
of course,
That's
because
sort of a
that was
larger
one of the things that
kind
we
of an
did
issue.
lose. But I think there are a couple of them being filmed right now. I don't know exactly
what I
which
read,
ones are.
yeah.
So if we could see more of an upswing of that would be great. So, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of uncharted territory. We had COVID, and we were gangbusters before, and then COVID happened, and we were all like, how do we handle this? And then we kind of panicked because we had that influx, of course, because we were the first state to open up for tourism, and we had all these visitors who were climbing the walls and wanted to get out and do something.
More.
And then and then it kind of dropped a little bit again, and then we started kind of panicking, going, what's going on? Well, it was really technically us leveling back out, and now we're kind of coming up a little bit, from what I understand. So,
Well, you get
see.
all the numbers. I mean, you have access to all the
We
numbers.
do, but they're more heads and beds, so it's
Okay.
not really tourism like
Okay.
site visits. It's more they count based off of how many people are staying in the hotel.
It's occupancy.
It's
basically, right?
occupancy, yeah. So we kind of have to look at that and kind of take away a little bit off of that information and use it for our purposes, because not everybody we see, they may just be driving through the city going south or going north,
Right,
and they're
that's
stopping
true,
in
too.
just to visit and not staying in a hotel. So,
So what you see is sort of the discussion of a blend of everything, trying to
Right.
appease those who live here and
Right.
those who are visiting.
Right,
That's
right.
not an easy dance to do, as we know.
No, it's
So tell us what the current thinking might be. Not that everybody's mindset. but what do you
Everybody,
think?
I think the thing right now is creating experiences, and we just did one at the museum, the Andrew Lowe House, with the Ghost of Christmas Past, which is an experience. And so we had both locals and visitors, and some of us have told us now, this is our second year of doing it, that they've made this a Christmas tradition. They're going to do this every year, which is great,
They'll
which
come
is
back,
wonderful,
yeah.
and it's for both adults and children, and the kid at heart, because we still like to think we're young too. So I think creating experiences for our visitors who have already seen us already as a house museum or whatever it may be, might want to do something a little different, but still want to come to Savannah. Just creating some new experiences for them would be something that I think is a new trend. I think that people are looking at.
Yeah, there were a number of other house museums who were doing similar things.
yeah.
I think the Green Meldrum House had Christmas during the Civil War,
Yeah,
or some
exactly.
war times,
Yeah.
which was fantastic.
Yeah, and we did Freaky Friday during Halloween.
Uh-huh.
So, and we had our own little spin on the ghost tales of the museum and what we've experienced personally. So, those are experiences that you don't get on an everyday tour. But our everyday tours are wonderful too. So, but yeah.
You seem to embody what I think of, and I think Danielle too, of what we think about Southern hospitality.
Oh, well, thank you.
I just have to say that because we came
We
here for a
Northerners.
reason. We Northerners came here, and we're used
It's
to a much
different.
rougher lifestyle.
It's different down here. But this is one of the things we love so much is
Yeah.
the warmth and the conviviality that Southerners have.
Yeah. So.
But you're the kind of folks, when people tell us who visit our program, and they all say the same thing. They say they came here. They were here probably 15 minutes, and within that time, somebody invited them over to dinner.
Right.
Somebody said, "Hey, the door's open at any time. You just come right on in, and bring a bottle of wine." Is that what you tell us about? What your definition of Southern hospitality is?
Well, that's kind of, I was raised that way. My mother was that way. So we always had people over at our house every weekend. I mean, there was never a weekend we didn't have people over for dinner. So I was raised that way. So it's
Natural
not,
to
it's
you.
natural. Yeah. So I love that I get to to do this. I mean, of course, we have our tour guides that are greeting our visitors and doing the tours for us. But, I love that we're opening up this beautiful home that we can greet our visitors like they're our guests and this is our home, kind of in a way. So, so
Tell us a little bit more about your job at the Angelo House Museum.
So I'm the sales and marketing manager for the museum. So my job is to be the liaison through the hotels and the larger tour operators, the motor coaches, and group tour operators that bring their larger groups to Savannah. I'm in charge of making sure they're visiting our museum and that I'm making their reservations as smooth as possible. Because when you have 50 people, they kind of panic and going, how are we going to do this? And I try to make it as easy and as smoothly of a process as I can. And also, more importantly, too, is our Girl Scouts. We have hundreds and hundreds of Girl Scouts that visit us every year. Yeah. We're part of the Juliette Gordon Low Historic District. We have the first headquarters, which is behind us, which used to be the carriage house to our home. Juliette left it in her will to the Girl Scouts of the state of Georgia. So they are a separate museum, and then also, of course, the birthplace, which everybody's very familiar with. So there's a three-part pilgrimage for the Girl Scouts when they come to Savannah, and we're part of that. So it's important for us to take care of our little Girl Scouts too. So, so that's what I do, and then also I'm the buyer for the gift shop, museum shop. So
which is no small thing.
No,
and
it's
you do a
not.
fabulous job.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
People, museum people love their gift shops.
Yeah, they do. They're known for having unique and different gifts. So I try to keep it well stocked with unique, and I try to do local art if I can, and try to do things that are made in Georgia. So
Great idea.
yeah. So
that brings into our discussion your creativity. So you've designed a couple of things that are in the shop. I'm thinking about the Christmas ornament. I'm thinking of the pillow covers. You have, and we'll talk about this in a minute. Oh, the tea.
And the tea box.
The tea. We'll talk about this in a minute. You're a painter as well.
Yes.
You're an artist.
Yes. Yes.
You're a designer. You're an artist. You kind of have, you're the whole package, Ginger. You're the whole package.
But okay.
You're going to leave here feeling really good about yourself.
So
I can
tell us
you.
about a couple of the projects that you've worked on for the shop.
So one of my dear friends started a company called Pillow Sack. That when you travel with your pillow, you keep it clean and fresh by using this adorable pillow sack that's got an array of different prints. But one of them that we just created is called Savannah, and it is a toile print of Savannah, which was my artwork. I created the artwork for it, and we had it printed on this beautiful fabric. And so now we have these pillow sacks with the Savannah print on it, which are really great. And it's all kinds of little icons of the special things Savannah has, and of course one of them has, and of course it has the Angelo House Museum on there.
It
So,
must.
but and SCAD, and the Forsyth Fountain and whatnot. But that, and then also I did the Savannah Trio tea with Hale Tea Company, and she's local. She's a SCAD graduate who had taken over the company, and so she runs it now. And worked with her and created the artwork for our box for that, so that we can sell that exclusively in our shop as well. And then and then I designed the ornament, the official Angelo House ornament. So so it's fun. I enjoy being able to kind of
I love
use
that.
my
But
creativity
there's also
there.
a give back, and that's the other part, I think, of your artwork that is very obvious. You focus on sea turtles, and I know that that's a place very close to your
Yes.
heart. So talk to us about your sea turtle art and where that's involved and how you got involved with it.
Okay, so we'll go back to my childhood. So Edisto Beach being my very special place in the world. If nobody's ever visited, go. It's amazing. So they do the sea turtle art project, turtle tide art project, and each year they have, I think it's 10 turtles that are huge, life-size fiberglass turtles that they commission artists to paint, and then they auction them off, and then those the proceeds from that auction go to a specific charity at Edisto Beach. So one year my turtle was auctioned off. I think it went for like $13,000, and it went to help the Loggerhead Turtle project.
Wonderful.
So, and then this year, this past year was historic preservation, so because they have a historic preservation movement there to preserve some of the plantations and places there, and then this year I'm trying to remember which one. Oh, this was a medical clinic, so it was for free medical supplies and service on the island for those who can't afford it. This went the proceeds from my turtle this year went to help.
And how does that all get established as to what charity will
So
benefit?
they have sponsors that sponsor the cost of the turtle. Then they decide what what charity it goes to based off what the sponsor wants. So the sponsor pays for the turtle. They choose the artist, and the artist paints it. Then when it gets auctioned off, then the proceeds from that auction go to that charity that the sponsor chose for it to go to.
And you do private work as well,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Commission work or whatever.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So
Lots of
that's-
mures and
we have to
paintings
make sure we
in
have
Savannah.
contact information.
Oh,
for Ginger.
definitely. She does house portraits as well. I've seen a few of those
And
that
I
look
did the
fantastic.
Telfair. We did the office area. the
That's
Telfair.
right.
Yeah,
So she's done. She's like I
anyway,
said, she's
a
got
lot
the
of
whole
fun.
package.
Amazing.
So yeah. So
I want to go back.
okay.
I want to take us back about 20 years, maybe. You look to me to be like the perfect game show contestant. You're scintillating. So somehow you ended up on the very notable American game show Wheel of Fortune.
I was.
Let's talk about that experience. I
was
want to hear
great
more
fun.
about it.
Ginger Wilkins, Savannah, Georgia, and you're in the tour business?
Yes, sir. It's not as easy as you think to get on it. It was kind of crazy.
yeah.
So a friend of mine asked if I would come. The Wheelmobile showed up in Savannah, the big Winnebago bus, and out at the National Guard Armory. And she was like, "Come on, come with me." And I was like, "I have my 2 small children. I don't know." And my husband at the time was like, "Bring them to the office and go. You never know what'll happen." So I went, and honestly, they take your name, put it in one of those bingo drums.
They do.
And randomly draw your name.
Oh, my gosh.
And so they drew my name, and they had 300 people per segment throughout the day, and I was part of that 300 segment.
amazing.
They chose my name out of the 300. And
Think about that.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Amazing.
And then so I stood up on this like makeshift stage by the Winnebago, and my puzzle was dubious distinction, and I solved it with 2 other people, just as if you were on the game show. Unbeknownst to us, they're filming us. They say, if we chose you, you'll hear from us, da-da-da-da. So about a month or 2 later, I got a phone call that they're coming to Savannah to it was a hotel outside on 95. And there were 300 people at that time. And you go in and they do time tests with you. So you're like, time's ticking down on this big digital clock, and you're having to fill in the blank letters on this thing. They want to see how fast you can do it. So we take a break, come back, and there'd be less people there. And we're like, okay, this is kind of crazy. So that happened over and over again until we
Thinning
were
out
like,
the herd, right?
yeah. So that we were like I think there was like maybe 10 of us left, and so they were like, all right, you've been chosen. You'll hear from us within the year. Da, da, da.
10 of you left?
10, something like that. Yeah, it was very little of us.
Wow.
So we went to Disney World thinking I'd not hear from them. So we had this plan with the kids, and came back, and like maybe a week or 2 later, I got the phone call, you need to be in California. So I'm sure everybody's seen the show. When you get a consolation prize. If you don't win anything, you get $1,000. That pays for your expenses of getting there, because they don't pay for
Makes
that.
sense.
up front.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we went and we did the whole Where the Stars Live and the whole gamut while we were there. It was a lot of fun. Went to Santa Monica and did the whole thing. But it was a pinch me moment to be standing in the studio with Vanna White and Pat Sajak and
Vanna's from this area,
and
right?
Vanna's sweet as
Georgia,
can be,
right?
and just as beautiful with a sweatsuit on and no makeup. She was just the sweetest person ever, and her makeup artist did you get your makeup done.
Oh, wow.
The commercial breaks, they're powdering your nose and going, keep going, you're doing great, It's like a real deal.
A lot of
It's
rah-rah
like crazy.
going on, right?
Yeah. So I won the prize wedge and the prize puzzle.
And you won a trip, didn't you?
So I'd won a trip to Utah camping and a
Oh,
trip
my
to
gosh.
Ireland, and I asked promotional considerations if I could change it because my ex-husband did not want to go camping. So I asked them if we could change it, and they were like, "Yeah, you just have to use the same cash value." So they sent us to Europe. So we went to Austria and
that is-
Germany
I'd
on
never
their
known
level.
that. That's
So
great.
yeah, so they took care of everything. So and it was fabulous. So it was definitely a pinch me moment. It was so much fun. So yeah. Highly recommend it.
For those who are good enough to do it, right? Who are fast enough.
That's That
It
is
was fun.
fantastic.
It
That's
was. It was
hilarious.
great fun.
I
So-
think we're going to have a clip of that on the show today, too.
Yeah, you'll
so,
probably see that. Yeah.
That'll be
So-
great. Well, so, I mean, with all this richness of your own personal history in this area, what is it that keeps you here in Savannah? I mean, it seems like a silly question. I mean, but beyond work, what is it about Savannah that there's no other place on earth like it?
Well, I'm
for
a
you?
coastal girl, so I always need to be near the coast. And then, being here for so long and working in the industry I've been in, I know we're talking about work, but it's still like family. Even my mom and dad have passed, and I have one of my sisters here. There's 5 of us total. It's still like family, so I could never think of leaving this place because it's like home. It's home.
It is home.
Yeah.
Before we close up here, I have to ask you about your dessert.
Okay.
So at the museum Christmas event for the staff, you made something I have never had before because I'm a northerner. Maybe that's it. It's called, and I didn't even remember the name of it, but it's syllabub.
Syllabub.
Yeah.
All right. So for those uninitiated, tell us what syllabub is and how you come up with this concoction.
So this was another one of my mother's traditions. We actually used to watch Gone with the Wind and have fruit cake, and when it would be on Turner Broadcasting.
Yeah.
Was it Turner Broadcasting TV or whatever?
Yeah.
The station. Anyway, they would show Gone with the Wind. We'd have fruit cake and syllabub growing up. I have my great-grandmother's syllabub churn. It's an old, like butter churn, but it was made for the syllabub. And it's made of sherry and heavy cream and sugar and milk. And you froth it. You eat the froth. And it's quite delicious.
It's light.
It's very
right?
light.
It's light.
It's mentioned in the book Gone with the Wind.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is mentioned.
So
and
is it an old
it's
Victorian
an old-
recipe?
yes, and you can if you're in an antique store and they're selling these beautiful little cups and they call them syllabub glasses. That's what they're syllabub. They're they're on stems, but a little short little bowl. But that's for your syllabub. And usually you can garnish it with some fresh fruit or something too. But yeah, syllabub, try it. It's amazing.
Well, I think that's a sweet way of finishing up the program.
That's
Yes.
perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Well, thank you so much,
thank
Ginger.
you. Thank
Great
y'all
to
so
finally
much.
get a chance to talk with you.
Thank y'all for
Yeah.
having me. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Ginger Graham Varner, our guest today on All Things Savannah. We'll be back in a moment. You know, Danielle, Ginger was everything that I thought she would be, and it was so good to just actually sit down and chat with her. Isn't she amazing?
She is so much fun. She's just a blast. She is
She
all
is.
energy, pure energy, and sparkle.
And this is what she is in real life, just to say.
Every
It's
day.
not a put on, for
No.
sure. So let's tell you, if you have ideas for All Things Savannah, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
And you can get in touch with us, and we'll certainly start looking at show ideas and guest ideas, right?
Yeah.
You can contact us at mysavannahstory@gmail.com. And let's collaborate on some ideas.
Yeah.
Join us next time.